Okay, in our presence we have David Mwangi and also Dennis Kadure. So they are also part of the ones who will always be instructing us. So I think Charity has not joined in, and I think she will be joining us later on. So maybe for the introduction, let's have David and Dennis have some time to introduce themselves. Then we can start from there.
Hello everyone, I'm David Munyiri Mwangi. I'm a fourth year computer science student at Kirinyaga University and a Better Microsoft Science Student Ambassador. So I'm happy to see you guys in the event. And for those whom we have been our event number 1 up to this event, we are doing great work. For those who are joining us on the way, still doing great work. So ensure that you're consistent in attending the events and ensure that you code along with us so that you can get the skills. Thank you.
So hi everyone, my name is Dennis Washira, a third year computer science student at Kirinyaga University and also a Better Microsoft Run student. That's all.
Okay, thank you everyone. So I think from there we can start our session because I think time has been far much spent. And because we promised yesterday that okay, we're not going to maybe have that much long time today. It's just to complete what we were supposed to do yesterday. So we are going to continue the project that I was to present yesterday. That was the BlackJack game. So the game was like as I explained. So I don't know if I'm going to get that code. Before maybe if someone new wasn't there yesterday can join us. Let me try and open that code and just run the game for like a short explanation and then we start coding it. So the name was BlackJack game. So let me try and run it live. So this was the game, and I briefly okay, this was the game that I first started building after like learning the fundamentals of React, or not React, of JavaScript. So after learning it, I said, okay, what can I do with JavaScript? So I could say like, let me try and build a game that like, so for example, the functionalities of this game, it will always, it's a game that's maybe for those who would like playing games, like, okay, you can ask for a card, and if sometimes there is a lucky number, for example, so let's say that if a lucky number in this game is we have a lucky number as 21. So if you maybe have that 21, you'll be the winner of the game. So you'll start by maybe starting the game. So this is a button. So if you start the game, so there is a card here that gives you two numbers. So I'll call those two cards, so that when the user starts the game, two cards are given out. So the cards will be calculated. So the cards are stored in an array, like two cards in the first round. So the two cards will be stored in an array. Then the sum will be calculated. So when the sum of the two cards will be done, we'll find that the sum of the two cards is now 12.
Hello.
So at this point, you can see the message here that yes.
See on the screen.
Okay, is this happening to everybody again?
Apara iko sawa?
Okay, Manu, maybe you can try and maybe reconnect back because I think today I'm connected to a different network. Okay, so at this point you can see there is a message on top saying that do you want to draw the new card? So at this point, because you want to win that game, you try and draw another card. So you try to say you're given a new number that is 7. So calculating, adding the sum of all of them, you find 19. So which means you haven't found the blackjack. So you'll have to also draw a new card. So we were lucky, the other number was added. And so you're seeing that congratulations, Brian, so you have the blackjack. So this is just the logic of the game. So we are going to start building it. So I think we shall build the HTML part of it and the JavaScript part of it. So the CSS part of it is quite long, but it's just styling of the of the buttons, and maybe the body of the application. So we are not going to do CSS today, maybe in another session. But yeah, let's just do the functionalities of maybe the HTML and the JavaScript part of it. Is there somebody trying to communicate? Okay, so I've started our new application. With this application, or the folder, so we have 3 files in it. We have the app.js, index.html, and the styles.css. So, HTML file, I've just maybe I can start everything. So now I have my my basics. Like I usually use the exclamation mark, and I maybe have all these being given. So let's give our title. That's these are the title of the game. That's BlackJack. Okay. After that, we usually like after creating this, we usually try to link to the CSS files. So let's try linking it. So we are trying to link to the style.css. After that, let's try and link to the app.js. So we link using the script. So the script, so we are linking it to the app.js file. So that's what I had done. So let's start writing the HTML code. So first of all, in the working of the previous maybe the demonstration that I've shown you before. So you can see we have the title. This title is much larger. So this, let's call it H1. So let's do this much quickly. So that was BlackJack. Yep. That's, we had something like a paragraphs for the cards. So yep, instead of writing this, let's give it a class. So we can give it a p dot, let's say a message.
Boy,
Yes,
Brian.
Yeah.
Somebody is raising his hand.
Okay, you can unmute and or maybe tell us maybe the concern.
Yeah, Ogo, just say what you want.
What I want to say is that the person that is holding this section, I can't hear him clearly. I don't know if it's from my end.
Is this happening to everyone that maybe I can switch to my microphones?
It's fine from our side.
So I think the best way to do is maybe try leaving the meeting, then try joining again to be okay.
Okay, yeah, you can maybe try that, maybe try and rejoin, because maybe if other members can listen to what I'm saying clearly, that means maybe there's some issue from your end. So I was writing a paragraph tag, so let me give the message that's giving that to the cards. Let's give another paragraph for the whereby we shall have the cards array. So it's a paragraph. We give a class, maybe cards L. So L maybe stands for elements, cards, elements. Have another what did we have from the project? So we also had another paragraph for sum. So we can have that as paragraph dot sum element. This just giving a class to it. So maybe let's say we can give sum. What else? Let's give the 2 buttons. So you have the button of start game and the new game. So this is what we are expected to do. So we have the button. So the button will have the message start game. We also have another button. That would be a new card. So I think we are all set. So let me see if there's something we are missing out. So I think we have the last part whereby we have whereby if somebody has won the game, the paragraph will be showed to the user or rendered to the user. So let's sorry. Let's give the paragraph. So let's call this player. So that's L. I think that this is the basics of what we should have in our. Okay, I think we can also store all of this in. Okay, no needs of storing it. Let's just save our work and run it live to check what we have done. Close this. Yeah, this is the what we have built. Like nothing happens if you click on the buttons, nothing happens. So you can see everything is styled because I think of the style of the CSS code that I've placed. So you can review the CSS that I've sent maybe from the link. So the link will take you to my GitHub account. So let's now start writing the functionalities of this application. So we shall be doing the JavaScript part because I think this is what like we want to now learn like, okay, how can you use JavaScript to maybe make this interface functional, whereby somebody can interact with the website. So let's first start by maybe introducing the player who will be playing the game. So let's say maybe for example, give a variable name that's a player. So many players will be playing this game. So let's give it in an object manner. So let's give the name as so the name of the user who will be playing. So that may be me. So let's say Brian. Okay. That now let's start now like introducing like what we need to do. So let's now take like all the elements. Let's refer them to a JavaScript so that we can be able to maybe like manipulate them. So by maybe by referring them to their IDs. Did I given? Oh, I never give them with the IDs. Maybe you can refer them by IDs or classes. Let's refer them by our classes. So let's say maybe message element is equals to document dot get element by class name. So because I referred everything using the class, so you can now get all the elements by the class. So what's the name of the one we give the message L? So okay, we are going to start by referring the first paragraph. So we're going to give that this message. That message. I think this is how I written it. So we've collected this. Let's also take our second part. That was the second one was about the thing was the words. Second paragraph, I guess. Yep. So we're going to let sum. I think that's going to take all our sum. So let's sum L is equals to document dot get element by class name. Document dot get element by class name. So that's going to take so what did we give the one that's going to take the sum? We give it the sum L. So that was the referred name. So that's sum L. Again, let's refer the one that we had the cards. So we can say okay, let's call it cards element or whatever. Equals to the document dot get element by class name. What did we refer to that? Those cards L. cut cell. So is there anything else we're missing out? Yeah, we're missing out the player L. So you can take that let L equals to maybe document its element by class name. Let's refer that as the name we give, that's player L. So I think we have taken all the things that we'll be needing to manipulate from the other side. I don't think I'm missing anything. So let's now start, maybe start manipulating this. Okay, yesterday we discussed about the functionalities of the get random, okay, like the math function, like how it works. So let's do, okay, because the working functionalities of our code, it was like, if you click on the start game, it will give you 2 cards. So the 2 cards will be given randomly. So what if like, the thinking analogy was like, okay, what if you create a function that maybe will be able to generate random numbers for you. So we can do this by maybe having a function. So the function, let's call it get random. So any name that you can have. So this is the name of the function that I'm creating. So okay, so we can say let. What do we discuss? So we said yesterday we used the math.flow to maybe give a whole number. We use the math.random to maybe give you a random number between maybe 0 and 1. And then we also discussed on how maybe you can get values between a certain range that you need. So you can say let random. So it's a variable random number is equals to math. So we also start with math.flow. So this will always give us the whole number. Then inside that function of math.flow, we have the math. Okay, we have math.random. So okay, this and all of them are always I think they are inbuilt functions in JavaScript. So because I want elements, I want numbers between maybe 0 and maybe 10. So I can maybe multiply it by 9 or multiply it by, okay, I want numbers between 0 and 10. So maybe I can also add it plus 1 over here. So this will always give me a random number between now 0 and maybe 10. Okay, so after that, every function must return something. So we discussed the working of functions. So every function like will return something. So we have to return the random number. So we have created this random number. Okay, let's now continue the another part of this code. So what are we required to do? Let's check from the interface. So what we are required to do is when I click on the start game, I'm given some cards. So which means there must be a function that must be with the start game button so that if you click on it, it's going to enable you start the game. So okay, let's do that. So is my screen like everybody can be able to see what I'm maybe sharing, or I can increase the fonts?
I think it's okay.
Okay. So let's start with the function that will be having inside our let's create a function. Okay, like let's give a function inside our button that start game so that we can reference it from our JS file. So whereby we maybe perform some functions or perform some action with it, something will happen. So let's give the name of the function to be, let's say, maybe on click, I want something to happen. So maybe you can say on click, you can just type it. So click, I want to have to render something known as a function, maybe known as start game. Exactly. So after having this, I'll now go reference this. Let me now copy it and reference it in my JavaScript file. So it's a function. So that will always it's a listener, right? It's going to listen to what I'm doing. So the name of it is that game function. So all functions must have that brackets in it. Okay, so what's the working of this maybe start game? So there's some things maybe I should have maybe introduced earlier up there, like before you start the game, maybe you can say, if you start the game at the top here, you can say that it's false, but maybe if you click on the button, maybe starting the game is now true. So at the top there, we can say maybe making you alive, or maybe you start the game. So we can say let maybe is alive, is equals to maybe false, because at this point you have not started the game. But if you click on the button, maybe you being alive, or maybe you are in the game, is not true. So now at this point we have to maybe set is alive to equals to true. So maybe we say is alive is equals to maybe 2. So now this the logics that will always work whenever you click on the button. So now let's start maybe like, okay, we have 2 cards that we are given out. So and we have the math function that will always give us a random number. So let's make use of that by maybe having the first card. The first card will give us, we'll use the function. So we create a function that was called get random. The get random was a function that whenever the function is called, it is going to execute this block of code. So that's what we discussed about a function. So now instead of more writing all these codes, I can now refer to that, function that was get random. So if I do that, it's going to generate a random number. So between the parameters that we had set earlier. So let's go to the second. So we want another card. So we're going to let maybe second card. So it's going to equal to also get random. So the first 2 cards, the first card and second card, will also always give us 2 random numbers. So after having the 2 random numbers, you can check the functionality was like, okay, after having the 2 numbers, what happened? You are supposed to maybe calculate the sum of the 2. So at this point, okay, let's first do the sum before we take it to the array. So let's first let's do the sum. So where is the sum being taken to? So the sum, let's take it from HTML. So the sum was stored inside the sum L, and the sum L has been referenced to be, okay, the sum L with the camel case. So we can come here and say maybe sum L dot text content or inner content. So I'll be using dot maybe text content. Or maybe sum L dot text content is going to be equals to maybe the sum, the new sum of the new variable. So okay, first before doing that, we want to have the sum. So we're going to initialize a variable. Let's say let I think, yeah, we must initialize this let sum. Let sum first of all. Let sum equals to the first card plus the second card. So after having the 2 cards, all the sum of the first random, the random number we are given from the first one and the second one is going to be stored in a variable known as sum. So after all the 2 has been stored there, we can access it, or maybe we can display it on the button on the element itself. So we cannot reference it as sum. I think it must be out of here. So plus maybe sum. Okay. What else should we be having? Okay, other things that will happen in this code is that, okay, before somebody starts the game, having the BlackJack, let's call it that. Maybe if you not have maybe a given number that you've set, so maybe you say that it's false, but whenever you have it, it's always true. So let's have it here. Maybe we say let has BlackJack. At this point, we set it to also false, because at this time the person has not started the game. Okay, let's also continue with the code. Okay, at this point, we have two cards, and we want to store the two cards. In this, let me show it by illustration. Be refreshing it. If I think I lost that code, let me reopen it back, so that we can be working with the functionalities of the final code as we build ours. So BlackJack. Let's go live with it here. So here it was. So when we start the game, you can see we have two cards. So we must also think like, okay, how are we going to store the two cards that we are being given? So I think the best way that we can store it is maybe give it in an array. So the concept of array now comes in. So let's store the cards inside the array. Maybe you say, okay, these cards. Did we initialize the cards? I think we haven't initialized the cards. So let's first of all initialize the cards before we store them in a card array. So let's say let card equals to an empty array at first. But whenever we're given the two random numbers, so we can now say that the cards array now can have we'll be able to have the two values, so the two numbers. So is equals to, the first one will be the first, card, and the second card as well. So we're going to store it as always how we store the values inside the array. So the first random number that we get and the second one will always be stored inside the array. So after that, the sum will be calculated. And if the sum, so there's other logics that you also have to think about it. Like if, for example, the logic hasn't maybe met the one that we set, we'll always try and maybe add another card. So that's the logic that will come in later on. Okay, I think at this point now, let's now think of building that logic. So we build the logic by using another function. Maybe let's create a function that is render the game function. So in here, we are just going to build the logics or the working of our project. Okay, now let's decide like, okay, before that, I think there's something I'm missing out. I haven't initialized the message. Let's initialize it at the top. This message L, let's initialize it here. So let message maybe at this point equals to an empty string. Okay. So let's now work on the logics of how this game will work. Okay, like now we have to decide like when will somebody be able to be said that he has won the game. So let's now reference by maybe saying if statements. So we say if. So let's use the 21 that I had used earlier. Maybe we say if sum is less or equal to maybe equal to 20, what can we say? You can tell that person maybe if you want to draw another card, because at this point this person has not won the game. So you give the message, you assign the message to maybe to be proposed. Yes?
Hello, Kenboy. Can I interrupt you? Please?
Okay.
On the code line number 15, I think, is where I'm confusing. Get random function.
Number 15,
Can you
the get random.
16, let random. Can you elaborate a little, please?
Okay. Let me maybe use it in a different context. Okay, were you available yesterday when I was discussing it, or in which so that I can be able to know how I can explain it to you. Are you available yesterday?
No, I think the problem starts over there.
Okay, if you were not available yesterday, I think I can maybe try and maybe explain it. Okay, like how it would work. Let me just create a new file so that for those people who are not available yesterday can be able to maybe know the working of the math function. That's a math function in JavaScript that's always inbuilt. So yesterday we discussed like how the math function will always work. So let's try and working it out again from maybe scratch on that. So we can say let maybe number one. So that was the example we used yesterday. We say let number one equals to the math, maybe dot random. So this is always how it's always written. We just write math dot random. Let's log it out and check it out. What will it will maybe give us? So let's log out number one. Let me open my terminal. Let me run it. So this will always give us a number between zero and 1. So and one exclusive. That is maybe say 0 and to 0.099. So let me run node. Okay, test. So you can check what the output that it gave us. It said 0.328. So try running it again. It will give us another random number that's 0.8. Trying to run it again, it gives us a 0.5. Running it again, it gives us 0.6. So the math.random will always give us a random number between 0 and 1, but the 1 is always exclusive. So that's only to mean that it will give us a random number between 0 and 0.99. Okay, now let me talk on the other part that was maybe talking about the math.flow. So when you want to maybe work with flow, the flow will always give you a whole number. So let's say let number 2 equals to maybe math.flow. So when we say math.flow, it will like truncate, like maybe give only a whole number. So let's say inside the math.flow, we give a value dot like 0. With a value with many decimal numbers. So let's try and look out to maybe check out what math.flow will do. So let's give number 2. We run it again here. Make clear. So you can check it out. I mean, first of all, maybe comment this. So when I run the code, so that first it gives me the 6. Like it will always try and give you a whole number. So if you are to change maybe this to any other number, it will at most always give you the whole number. So that's why I was using the math.flow. So the other concept that I taught, like the other multiplication part of it. So maybe let me add it here. So because it's giving me the first one, so let me get rid of math.flow first of all. Okay. So, okay, this code was always giving us a number between maybe 0 and 0.99. So, and maybe I want to have a random number between 0 and maybe 10. So, before I use the random value, maybe I can say multiplied by maybe 10. So, when I say multiplied by 10 at the end, it always gives me a random number between 0 to maybe 9.99. So, let's try running that. Let me clear. So try to run it again. So it gives me 0.99. Let me try again running it. It gives me, at this point, it gives me 9.4. You see the values, how it has increased. Running it again, it gives me 2.0. Let me clear. Running it again, it gives me 9.6. You see now the different values that it gives me. So that's the working of the random value. So now, like, if you want to combine all of them, like how I combined all of this, like I wanted to have a whole number that's being truncated. So at this point, let's add the math.random at this point. The math.flow, maybe flow. Close all this over that. So let's check out what it will give us. So it will give us a whole number. So at this point, you can check that you are being given a number with so many decimal places. So maybe let's try and Try this, you see it gives me a whole number. Now it gives me 6. Try running it again, it gives me a 2. That's a whole number. Let me try and clear this screen. Running it again gives me a 6. Running it again gives me a 4. Running it again gives me a 6. Why is it giving me a 6 many times? 9, 8. You see, that's the working of the math.random and maybe math.flow. So have you been able to maybe understand maybe the working of it?
Yes, Kenboy. Thank you so much.
Okay. So let's continue. Where were we? So we were talking about the, yes?
Yeah, I have question. My problem is at line 26. That sum in quotation plus sum. Like, do you mean to add sum, or the plus is just a variable? Line
Okay.
26.
The sum, yeah, the end, this one. Is it this is this the sum that you're asking about?
Yes, line 26.
Okay. Yeah, I just now get your point. So at this point, let me discuss the working of this sum variable. So the sum variable that I created will always hold the sum of two cards that were given at random. So we were given two cards, the first card and the second card at random. So let's say we are given 2 and 3. So when the sum variable will always hold the sum of both. So it will give us a 5. Now, okay, after having it as a 5, I wanted to maybe like display the 5 in my in my browser. So like I said sum.l.text content. So that's like now trying to display it in my sum.l was I think sum.l was a paragraph that is going to have the value. So the first sum is always a string, so I have enclosed it in a string, and the second one will become a value. So I think you can try and run this code on the browser so that you can check how it can work. Okay, it can't work because I think we haven't connected all the stuff. Let me check that. So sum.l. I think it's because maybe on click, so we haven't connected all the codes, but at the end of it, we shall have all the codes like connected to each and every element. But maybe to answer your question, like what this other sum was, it's just a variable that's going to have the addition of the two cards that we had. So maybe we can work with that, it can be fine.
Okay, what I mean is it's not the sum element, the plus sum. Does it add the already added of first card and second card? Does it add it to sum?
Okay, yes,
Brian, I can
yes.
try to answer
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So on line 26, it's variable sum element dot text content is equals to sum plus sum. The first sum is a string. Then the plus is not adding, it's concatenating the string sum and the sum that we are getting on line 25.
Okay.
It's
Thank
it's concatenating, not adding.
Yeah, like for example, at this point, you can check here, we have sum is 7. Maybe if I try maybe to have another sum, you see, the sum and the 9 is being held together. So that was the work of that plus addition.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you so much.
The addition sign. The two cards that were given is equals or is less than 20. So we can give a message that maybe to the user that, okay, do you want to maybe draw on the card? So we can say, do you want another card? So that's the message that we can tell the user. Okay, what if now we have maybe the sum is maybe equals to 21? So at this point, the user has won the game. So we can use the else if. So these are the things that we discussed, the working of the if and else if. So else if maybe, okay, before this, okay, else if we have maybe sum is equals to 21. So we use the 3 to maybe the 3 equal signs to maybe actualize that indeed it's always equal to that. So okay, what's the message that we shall give to the user? So the message will become maybe tell him that you've won the game. Maybe you've won the BlackJack game or something. You've won. Okay. Yeah, so that's what we can display to the user. So, and at this point, maybe after maybe he has won, so maybe you can say has BlackJack, because I think this is a variable that we initialize it to be false. So maybe you can say has that BlackJack is equals now to maybe true at this point because he has won the game. So that's another logic that we can have. Okay. Minutes. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Okay, now let's talk about maybe working with okay, let's not take out the last part, maybe checking the else part. Okay, the else part we can maybe say, okay, if somebody maybe has maybe the sum of the two cards is maybe more than 21, and maybe that he has not gotten or won the game, what will happen? So this is what is going to happen. Maybe you're going to give the message that person and say maybe message equals to that maybe you are out of the game. So let's tell that person you are out of the game. Okay, I think we are done maybe. So, and at this point, we can also change that maybe it's alive is equals to false, because at this point, this person is not maybe inside the game. You can change that is alive is equals to false. So we have now dealt with several or like logics of how this game is going to work. So at this point, we want now to display all these messages to the user's browser. So these messages at this point were working maybe runtime or maybe on the V8. That is the runtime of a JavaScript code. So now let's display this to the user on the browser. So that was message L. So that was the element that we held, and maybe .text content. Okay, we equalize it to the message depending on maybe what the user will get. Okay, now let's also discuss maybe what will be displayed or the cards that will be given to the user. So let's know what I mean. So at this point, you can see that maybe when you start the game, you are being given 2 cards. So you haven't displayed these cards to the user. And maybe if you can check the working that when I click on new card, another card is added on top of the other 2 cards that were available. So saying again, adding another card, it adds another 7 on top of it. So let's work on that. So it's also going to work on the render game, so that this render game is going to be called on the button that was maybe you can use it in the start game. So it's going to apply maybe on the start game button. And it's also going to work on the new card. So yeah, let's do that. So we can have the cards element, maybe text content. content, we can equalize it to add. So this is a string that I'm adding it to that. Okay, now let's now use a for loop to maybe to loop through that. Okay, after finding the first two cards, maybe somebody maybe wants to maybe add another card. What will happen? So we want to always, this user to always confirm that the first card I found was maybe 7, the other card I found maybe was 3. Okay, like so that it can be displayed to the user. So we can use the for loop. So the for loop will have, so let's initialize the for loop with maybe I is equals to 0. You can also have the cards. So was it the name was card? So the card dot length. So the card dot length is always going to take the length of the card. So at first we are being given 2 cards, so the length will be 2, and then maybe we say after that we will always have to increment the cards. Now display them. So we have the card, maybe display them to the element. You have to use the card L, cards L dot text content. So there's always, you can also use that cards L dot text content is equals to also the cards L dot text content plus maybe the new card. But we can also use the plus and the equal sign, that is so that you can have the card. So the cards are stored in an array. So to access them, we can use the square brackets. So we can have the I as the string. So this string will always give a space between these two numbers. For example, let me again demonstrate that. Maybe if I start the game, you have the 7 and 8. So there's this space between them. So adding a new card, you can see there's another space between them. So that's why I'm adding another a space between the two cards. Okay, after having the two cards, we have to have the sum being displayed. So that's the sum. This is going to be given in the sum L. Sum L dot text content. So it's going to be equals to, I think I used this earlier before and it was supposed to be here. I think that's why it was not working. So it's going to work when it's here. So it's going to be sum plus the sum. So we're going to get rid of this other one on top. This was already this. With this, you're almost done with maybe the working of it. Okay, when somebody clicks on this button, so we will always want to render the game. So like, for example, you can check that this function has not been used. So we can try and maybe render the function, or the function will always work again when maybe somebody's trying to run the game from this point. Okay, so let me check if I think some variable showing a different color, meaning I never initialize sum. So we can initialize sum at the top, say let's sum at this point equals to 0 when the game has not started. I think the color has changed. Yeah. Okay, let's now test our application where we are at this point. Let me try and run again. Yeah, still having some mistakes with it. Let's try and maybe check out why is this not working. Okay, we have initialized everything. Is alive is false.
I think is add event listener. Do you add listener?
Yeah, I think I added it in my, let me check it out. Yes, I think I have the start game from this point. So I used there's different ways maybe you can have maybe to have to listen. So let me say the on click Yeah, I think you have the function. I mean, let's check it out. Why is it working? Maybe checking on the spellings on how I referenced everything. You have the sum L, cards L. Checking out from this other side again. Yeah, I think referencing everything we are good.
I think the button, you have not given it a crash.
Okay, let me check it. Okay, but I think after referencing the functionality of the function, I think that it won't matter the class that the function will have, because I've given it the working of the maybe the function that will always listen to. That's on click. A minute, let me check it out. What's happening? Okay. We have a message maybe being given out. It should be working. Everything is fine. In a minute, let me still confirm maybe what I missed from the code.
And the text content is not correct. Or is that how you use it before?
Always take content, or maybe use inner.html, whatever. Okay. Yeah, I gave everything. Maybe yeah, the spelling and everything it's working well. Maybe let me check.
Render game.
Okay. Yes, Felix.
In your function render game.
Can you be able to identify maybe the mistake? Maybe. Huh?
Yeah, in your function the render game.
Yeah. I think this mistake
I
was having.
It should be text content, not text content.
At what point? That's line number
33
and text
and 50.
Yeah, text content. Yeah,
and 50.
Correct. And 50.
And
I think
36.
that's another mistake.
36 and
okay.
39.
I think so. It was the spelling errors. Okay. I think almost all the places because of the syntax error. So maybe the spelling of everything. So let's check that out. It's working. Okay, we haven't. It can't work. It can't work. Let me check. This message should be able to be displayed after. Okay, let me reference how maybe we give the DOM elements. I think now everything is now starting to maybe go wrong. I don't know where I messed up. Just give me just a few minutes. I'll try maybe to check out on the codes maybe that I messed up. Okay, it's a random card. I think I gave everything. So live is equals to true. Okay. Let's just work first of all with the logics of the new card so that you can maybe identify maybe where function. The second function was maybe to work with the on-click event, or maybe when somebody clicks on the new card. So when somebody clicks on that, so we can maybe give it the name as new card. The name of the function will be the new card. Okay, somebody, maybe if you want to maybe work with the logics of when somebody tries to click on the new card, it will always check if that person is still alive on the game, and maybe he has the blackjack is always true or false. So let's now check on that. Maybe we say if. I think somebody's communicating. Okay, so we say is alive, maybe is equals to maybe true, and maybe has the blackjack is maybe equals to maybe false. So at this point, this person is allowed maybe to still be given another random card so that maybe you can continue the game. Maybe you can let a card equals to, okay. So somebody has to get another card, so he has to use the function that we created that to get the random. So it always gets another random number. Okay, after that, maybe these cards will have to be pushed to the array after somebody gets another array. So the working code was here. Where was it? I think it was this one. So somebody clicking on the new card, the new one that was 3 is going to be added at the end of the other array. So it's going to be added at the end of it. So having that, we say maybe cards, maybe dot push. So that's always a method that we push something to the end of it. So the push is a method. So to have, we're going to push the card that is now given at random. So after that, we're going to call the other function that was to render. Who was that? It was there. So render game. Now let's check out maybe where we mistaken. Maybe so that we can be able to check the syntax of maybe what went wrong. Start by debugging from these points. So live is equals to true. If somebody is going to maybe help me maybe identify the error, I'll maybe appreciate the first card. So with maybe giving the elements to the array, we did it correctly. That'll be here.
I don't know. Would check the HTML if the class name that you use, if you do matches.
Can you come up like hello? There's somebody communicating.
Gameboy.
Yes.
She was saying that maybe there is the difference in maybe the usage of your class names in the code.
Okay, but I think.
But if you want to check on the console.log, maybe you should log out the maybe let's say for each button click.
Okay, so let's start from the sum. Let's check if the random values are just working.
Or maybe on the console
message L.
Log out the functions itself if they're working, the functions.
Okay. Let's start from there.
Yeah.
First of all, let me check on the references or maybe the classes that I have with the HTML ones. Maybe that's where maybe we're messing up. The sum L. Yeah, the sum L is correct. Cards L. So the player L. Yeah, I think also we are having some other places whereby we don't have the workings of the codes. That is the one with the player L. So this was to maybe to be consoled, maybe if somebody has won the game. So maybe after having the blackjack is true, where's the code? It's supposed to work here. So let's maybe reference the player L. Text content. This should not be the reason why the code failed. I think there's something that we missed that. Let me check. That's. I think I can't find the error, maybe what we mistaken. Sorry for this. It's a disappointment.
Brian.
Yes.
Let me see the code on the function read a game.
Okay. It is.
Scroll. I can't see that function.
The render game. It is.
On
the entire function, yeah.
Yeah, on line 34, it's I less than on line 34.
Oh yeah.
I less than count dot length.
And that was the image. Yeah, I think that's where we've been also mistaking. That is I is less than cals dot. Yeah, exactly. Still we have an issue. It can't. That means we've worked out some other syntax mistakes. Okay. It's a reference. So if maybe sum is equals to 21, the message that will be given the user. So I think I want to initialize the message, so it's initialized. The that is true. Then the else is being given out. Can also is another mistake, we're not closing these braces. Still can't work.
I think you can just copy the code from the GitHub, then you replace it with that one.
But
Then,
will that be
then you
helpful?
explain.
Like, no?
You just copy, then you explain.
Okay. So you find that code. I'll try maybe the next session try and maybe find out maybe the mistake that we fell into, because let me try and fix that minute. Okay, let me try and close this again. Okay, I think with the previous code, I will say maybe, and maybe later on, maybe find out maybe the mistake that we had with the code. So maybe in the next session, I will try and maybe look in the errors that we faced. So in this other code, I'm going to try to maybe explain those functionalities, because most of them is the ones that we've carried. Because yeah, this is working. When I draw another card, it works perfectly. So possibly check on the syntax errors of what we have, maybe what we faced, and then maybe in the next maybe session I'll be able to maybe rectify on that. So yeah, it works to play the game. So the cards variable is going to store the cards, or maybe the cards that we are given at random. Okay, and then we have the sum. So the sum is first initialized to 0 when maybe before the game starts. Has BlackJack more at that point is false because the game has not started, and maybe it's alive also, equalized to maybe false. So this was the collection of maybe those elements from the DOM, so that you can be able to manipulate them. So we started with maybe the get random card. So this was the working of the match function, whereby it's going to give us any random number. So the random number is going to be given to the first card and the second card whenever somebody clicks on the start game. So the start game is an on-click function that is given to the button. So it will always listen to maybe the clicking events that happens. So at this point, is alive is given to true. The first card and the second card are given at random. Then the two cards are going to be stored maybe in an array, and the sum is calculated. So at that point, the render function was being called, or rendered maybe to perform the logics of the game. So the first logic was like, okay, to display the cards. So this was what we were working with the for loop. Maybe like display to the user maybe the cards that displaying to the user the cards that were given at random. Then the if and else statements works like maybe the message that the user should be given if maybe they win the game or maybe they lost the game. So the first one was checking if the user's sum of the cards was maybe 20. Maybe you'll have that you maybe tell the user that do you want to draw another card. But if the sum is going to be equal to maybe 21, so at that point you're going to tell that person that you won the game. So else is going to tell that user that you are out of game. So lastly, we were talking about the function, maybe that maybe the other button that was the new card. Maybe after maybe having the sum of the two cards, it didn't amount to maybe 21. Maybe you can try and draw a new card. So this was the working of it. So maybe in the next event, I'll maybe try and maybe check out whereby maybe where we messed up, or maybe the syntaxes or on the code, so that we can be able to debug it and maybe maybe correct the functionalities of that code. So I think time has already been spent. And maybe I think that's what we shall do in the next session. And I think my apologies. Maybe the code should be able to run, and with a few errors, I'll try and maybe rectify them, and then maybe the next session we'll try and maybe also rectify on it. Thank you. Dennis?
Yeah, thanks so much, Keboy. And if anyone has a question, you can just drop it on the chat, or you use our WhatsApp group. Let me share the WhatsApp group. If you are not on WhatsApp, you can share your thoughts there. And let's continue attending our event. We usually have our event on Fridays from 5 p.m. to 6 East African time. That's all. And thank you so much for attending today's event. David, anything to say? David?
I think maybe David is not around, maybe away from maybe his computer.
Okay, let me share the link of the WhatsApp group. And also the yesterday's recording shared on the group. Okay, this is the WhatsApp group link. I'm trying to get it.
Please, I have question.
Yes, go on.
Okay, this question is not related to what is being taught today, but I just feel like asking the question. My question is that I hope we are going to continue this, like the person that is hosting this. Hope you're going to continue the teaching till you get to the professional level, right? Or are you only doing it for the beginners?
Okay.
Brian, do you answer that?
Okay. These are the sessions that we've started from maybe the beginner sessions, like introducing people to maybe using JavaScript. So at this point, we are now like trying to maybe build some projects with the concepts that we have learned. So as we advance, we are going to maybe advance to the levels, maybe the other JavaScript, maybe that maybe holding maybe promises and whatever. Like it's now grows to maybe the professionals who have maybe the efficiency of maybe using JavaScript. So as we maybe host more events, we are going to scale those who are maybe beginners to maybe to advance. So these are sessions maybe for all of us who are aspiring maybe to be web developers. And we are going to be hosting it maybe every Friday. That was the commitment that we gave to our attendees. That every Friday we're going to maybe advance a step forward. So at this point we are now having projects, and we'll reach a point whereby the attendees will also have their own projects and maybe presenting them to us. And I think that's how we are going to work as a group.
Yeah, and probably when done with those projects, we shall go now to the frameworks. We can try to cover up maybe React.js as a front end and maybe Node for the back end. For those who want to specialize, probably maybe with React. So that's all. Yeah, we are going to up to a professional level where you can build now something, a full stack website using JavaScript, using a framework, probably React, and a backend Node, and also Express for the APIs.
All right, thank you. Thank you for presenting. I heard what you said. There's no problem. Thank you. You answered my question.
Yeah, and also remember at the end of this series, we shall also issue and we are continuing to give our attendees the LinkedIn voucher cards. So if you haven't received, be patient as we give out those voucher cards. And thanks once more for attending this. Let's meet next week. I'll be the speaker with Charity. We shall do 2 more projects on JavaScript. Then from there, we shall decide what to do next before we start on the frameworks like React. That's all from my side.
Okay, I'll also be sharing the code that maybe we were of today's project to our WhatsApp group, maybe so that we can be able to debug on the areas whereby like we face the issue, so that maybe by the next